Hello everyone, my name is Zheng and I'm a PhD student at Northwestern University. USENIX is coming to you down. Thanks you for being here. Today I will be presenting my work, ShadowBound, efficient heap memory protection through advanced metadata management and customized compiler optimization. In the domain of software development, a notable majority of programs are developed by the C or C++, which while granting detailed control over low-level operation and memory management, also invariably expose them to a range of vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities mainly include the out-of-bound and user-free, which are the top 5 most dangerous CWEs in 2023. While many prior works focus on developing a UAF defense, several UAF defense stand out for their remarkable performance, which less than 5%, such as MarkUS, FFMalloc, and PUMM. However, many spatial memory protections methods usually have many weaknesses. For example, the red zone-based check, the ASIN, and its variants. They usually have high performance overhead, and it can also be bypassed through non-linear out-of-bound vulnerabilities. Some boundary checking methods have relatively lower overhead, but they cannot cooperate with SOTA UAF defense since they use their own custom allocator, while the most UAF defense also have same requirements. The SOTA work of the spatial memory protection is data pointer. It have well performance overhead, but it restricts the memory space to 4 GB, which is not acceptable in the real world. So we propose ShadowBound. ShadowBound provides low performance overhead, about 66%, and it can provide robust spatial safety. And it can also work with various UAF defense, which means it can provide temporal security. Now we introduce the design of ShadowBound. ShadowBound provides spatial security by insert checking instruction into the program. Instead of inserting checking instruction at the point dereference site, we insert the checking instruction at the point arithmetic side in the LLVM level. Here are two types of point arithmetic instruction. As you can see, the line 3 trying to convert the void pointer to the integer pointer, so LLVM will generate a bit casting instruction. And in another line, the line trying to add offset to the point arrow, so the LLVM will generate a get element point instruction. Each instruction includes a base pointer and a result pointer. Then ShadowBound will insert a boundary checking instruction to ensure that the base pointer and the result pointer belong to the same object. Then we introduce how we store each pointer's boundary. We use shadow memory to save the metadata like ASIN. The heap memory size are equal to the shadow memory size, and each aligned 8 bytes heap memory are mapped into 8 bytes shadow memory. In this figure, the beginning and the end indicates the boundary of the objects, and the post to post plus 8 is an aligned block. For each 8 bytes metadata, the front 4 bytes are dedicated to storing 1/8 of the length from the aligned 8 bytes to the beginning of the object. Conversely, the back 4 bytes are used to record 1/8 of the length from the aligned 8 bytes to the end of the heap project. So we can note that the post, begin, and end are 64 bits value. Why 64 bits is enough to save 2 sensitive value variables? It's because first, all mainstream allocators are defined to 8 bytes or 60 bytes aligned allocations. And the maximum single-time allocation size is limited to 8 GB, which is 33 bits. So it means that the lower 3 bits is always 0, and only 30 bits is necessary. Then we show how we did the boundary check. As an example, the process of the boundary check is like the function takes the base pointer and the result pointer as input. Then it calculates the aligned address. Then it finds the shadow memory address by adding a constant offset. Then the function loads the metadata from the shadow memory address, like the pack indicated. By using the metadata, we can calculate the boundary of the object that the base point located. So finally, we can do the boundary check. In this case, the result point is in the outside of the object. So the function will throw an error. Okay, note that in the function, the function did only one memory read operation, which means the cost of single check boundary checking is cheap. Now we introduce the compiler optimization we used in ShadowBound. We implement 5 optimization, and we only introduce the most important one, the runtime-driven checking optimization. For all the optimization, you can check the detail from our paper in our paper. Okay, about the runtime-driven checking elimination. If each heap has infinity space, out-of-bounds access becomes impossible. Rendering all boundary checks are redundant and limitable. It is the basic idea. However, it is impractical since to allocate infinite or even very large space for every trunk due to the potential high memory overhead. But we can note that ShadowBound chooses an important approach to balance the time overhead and memory overhead. Specifically, ShadowBound only reserves a fixed n bytes for every heap trunk, donated as a reserved space. Then ShadowBound will try to find all illimitable boundary checking using the reserved space provided by the runtime. Okay, first, ShadowBound can remove the boundary checking if the offset between the result pointer and the base pointer is less than n bytes, if it can confirm it at the runtime time, at the compile time, and the result pointer will never be used as a base pointer in another boundary checking. This is an example. The point C, or the argument C, generates 3 pointers, always offset less than 8, like the C0 to C2. So ShadowBound can safely remove these checks. However, we cannot eliminate the check for line fine because the point C plus 1 is passed to another function, indicating that it may potentially be used as a base pointer for another boundary checking in the escape function. So if ShadowBound, so we cannot remove it since it will cause false negative. Okay, then we did a security evaluation for ShadowBound. ShadowBound successfully safeguarded 90 programs against 34 exploit out-of-bound bugs. We also did the performance evaluation on spec benchmark. On the spec benchmark, we can say ShadowBound only introduced 5% overhead, and we also integrate 3 SOTA UEF defense into ShadowBound, and which shows that ShadowBound can work with them. Besides, we also evaluate our system in the real world, includes the engines, Chakara, and Chromium. It introduced minor overhead on these real-world programs. In the end, we also did an evaluation study for each optimization, which shows all compiler optimization in our system is important. Okay, this end. Okay, this conclusion. The ShadowBound use a novel metadata design to quickly fetch the point boundary, ensure that its compatibility with various UEF defense. And we also introduce many compiler optimizations. Perhaps our evaluation shows its effectiveness. Okay, thank you everyone. Here are some information about myself. By the way, our team Beyond Bug entered the final of the AICC. If you're interested, you can also contact me. Thank you, and welcome any questions.